My vices are proof that these demons keep hounding me.
Anthony Mackie has finally spoken out on the sudden death of his best friend, Malcolm-Jamal Warner. He didn't say much when the news broke, just one post. No long caption, no interview, no press release, just a black and white photo of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. And 3 words that hit harder than any headline. You deserved better. Because the truth is, he did. Malcolm wasn't just another actor. He wasn't chasing clout, controversy, or attention. He was building something real, in silence, with purpose, and against the grain. But while the world now rushes to honor him, those who really knew the industry are asking a harder question. Why does Hollywood only celebrate you when you're no longer a threat? Because this wasn't a random tragedy. This was the final chapter in a story the industry refused to acknowledge while he was alive. And now, suddenly, everyone's calling him a legend. But where was all this love when it actually mattered? Let's talk about what really happened to Malcolm-Jamal Warner, and why people like Anthony Mackie, Cat Williams, and others aren't surprised at all. Anthony Mackie reflected on his friendship with the late Malcolm-Jamal Warner, whom he called a beautiful human being. In an interview with People promoting the 2nd season of Peacock's Twisted Metal, the Captain America, Brave New World star remembered the late actor who died July 20th in an accidental drowning while on a family vacation in Costa Rica at the age of 54. I'm proud to say Malcolm-Jamal Warner was a friend of mine, Mackie said, of The Cosby Show alum. He's somebody that I knew and spent time with and just was such a beautiful human being, he continued. And every time I was around him, I was able to take full advantage of those conversations and that time. That, for me, is the most important thing. Being in New York and that new kid on the theater scene, to have those lessons and those moments, at that time for me, such an icon in the business, he began. I always tell people just take full advantage of those moments with mentors and truly be yourself so that that person can see, react, and engage with who you are and not some fictitious idea of who you think they want you to be, Mackie concluded. July 20th, 2025. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was on a family vacation in Lyman, Costa Rica. The man who played Theo Huxtable, once one of America's most beloved TV sons, was now a father himself, swimming with his 8-year-old daughter in what should have been a peaceful escape. But it turned tragic fast. A dangerous rip current pulled them under. The beach, known for rough waters, had no lifeguards on duty that day. Local authorities had reportedly shifted safety patrols to other beaches just days earlier. Surfers nearby saw them struggling. One risked his own life to save Malcolm's daughter. Another tried to reach Malcolm, but by the time help arrived, it was too late. He was gone. Emergency crews confirmed his death at the scene. Later, the autopsy made it official. Accidental drowning, no foul play, no conspiracy, just heartbreak. But even in death, Malcolm's story was far from over. Here's what hurts the most. Malcolm-Jamal Warner did everything right. He didn't spiral out like most child stars. No arrests, no scandals, no TMZ meltdowns. He stayed grounded, sharp, and focused. A self-made multimillionaire, Emmy-nominated actor, Grammy-winning spoken word artist, director, poet, educator, father, husband. He built a quiet empire on his own terms. He wasn't in the tabloids because he wasn't selling his soul. He wasn't chasing clout because he had purpose. And even in an industry obsessed with flash, Malcolm chose depth. That should have earned him praise while he was alive. But it didn't, because Malcolm never gave them what they wanted. From early on, Malcolm made it clear he wasn't going to play the game. No dresses, no clown roles, no tired, goofy stereotypes. He didn't want to be the comic relief. He didn't want to play the fool. He wanted to show black men as thoughtful, complex, human. And in Hollywood, that decision comes with a price. He turned down major roles that would have made him rich and more famous, but would have forced him to betray his image, his values, and his people. And for that, they sidelined him. Not because he lacked talent, but because he wouldn't sell out. It wasn't personal. It was systemic. Malcolm wasn't the first to face that choice, and he wouldn't be the last. If Malcolm's silence spoke volumes, Cat Williams was yelling from the rooftops. For years, Cat has been calling out Hollywood's dirty playbook. The humiliation rituals, the roles designed to break you down, the clown for cash pipeline, especially for black entertainers. And whenever someone refuses, they're labeled crazy, bitter, difficult, unstable. Sound familiar? Because that's exactly what happened to Malcolm. Just like Cat, he turned down roles that insulted his intelligence and disrespected his identity. He didn't do the wigs, the dresses, the loud-mouthed caricatures, and just like Cat, he got iced out. Cat once said, "The industry only celebrates you when they can control your image." Malcolm proved that. The moment he stepped outside the box they built for him, they stopped calling. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a pattern. After The Cosby Show, Malcolm could have played the game. He had the face, the fame, the following. He could have signed on for big budget sitcoms, sidekick movie roles, studio contracts. He could have coasted. Instead, he went the opposite way. Malcolm launched his own podcast, Not All Hood, where he dragged mainstream media for flattening black culture into one lazy stereotype. He said, "We're not all one thing. Black people aren't all hood. We're diverse, layered, human." He called out producers, networks, even his own team for pushing roles that made black men into jokes. He said no, repeatedly, and that's when Hollywood stopped answering. His agents told him he was too serious, not flashy enough. Basically, too real, too black, too smart. The roles dried up. The phone stopped ringing, and the message was clear. If you don't play the clown, you don't get the stage. But here's the thing, Malcolm didn't fold. He used his platform to speak truth, even when it cost him visibility. He didn't want fame for fame's sake. He wanted change. In 2021, he wrote an op-ed for the Television Academy that lit a match under the industry. He exposed how, even during diversity pushes, the gatekeepers stayed the same. White producers, white writers, white directors still dictated the stories black people were allowed to tell. Even when black actors had big roles, the stories didn't change. The stereotypes just wore better clothes. Malcolm said no to that too, and he didn't stop there. He called out hip-hop too, especially when the Kendrick vs. Drake beef exploded. While social media ate it up, Malcolm asked the real question: why does hip-hop only go viral when it's negative? He slammed the culture's obsession with conflict, toxic masculinity, and performative rage. He demanded better. He said, "I love J. Cole, but I had to stop listening. The misogyny, the language, it's too much. We're better than this." He was never afraid to ruffle feathers, because he wasn't chasing applause. He was chasing accountability. Now that he's gone, suddenly the floodgates open. Streaming platforms are digging up unreleased projects with Malcolm's name on them. Tributes are everywhere. Celebrities who never mentioned him when he was alive are now calling him a pioneer. Award shows are planning in memoriam reels, and timelines are filled with glowing posts. But where was all this when he needed it? Where were these networks when he was pitching indie films about black fathers? Where were the award nominations when he dropped a Grammy-winning album? Where was the press coverage when he was directing stage plays about racial injustice? Now that he's not here to speak, they've made him safe to celebrate, sanitized, packaged, marketable. This isn't respect, it's revision. Because while Malcolm was alive, he wasn't the version of black man Hollywood wanted. He wasn't silly, sexy, or silent. And for that, they ignored him until they could use him. Now that he's gone, suddenly the floodgates open. Streaming platforms are digging up unreleased projects with Malcolm's name on them. Tributes are everywhere. Celebrities who never mentioned him when he was alive are now calling him a pioneer. Award shows are planning in memoriam reels, and timelines are filled with glowing posts. But where was all this when he needed it? Where were these networks when he was pitching indie films about black fathers? Where were the award nominations when he dropped a Grammy-winning album? Where was the press coverage when he was directing stage plays about racial injustice? Now that he's not here to speak, they've made him safe to celebrate, sanitized, packaged, marketable. This isn't respect, it's revision. Because while Malcolm was alive, he wasn't the version of black man Hollywood wanted. He wasn't silly, sexy, or silent. And for that, they ignored him until they could use him. Malcolm-Jamal Warner wasn't just another celebrity death. He was the proof that staying real in Hollywood can cost you everything: your platform, your career, your legacy. He lived with purpose. He worked with integrity. He stayed grounded in a world built to hollow you out. And for that, they left him behind. Until they didn't. Now they want to honor him. Now they want to say he was underrated. Now they want to call him a legend. But legends don't need permission to exist. The real question is, why do we wait until someone's gone to say what we should have said while they were here? Was Malcolm overlooked because he was too real, too unwilling to play the fool? You tell us. Drop your thoughts in the comments.
It is those who stand on the front line, fighting for the minds of our young, black, and gifted. It is you who are an inspiration to me, because you are the revolution we do not see on TV.
If you respect what Malcolm stood for, hit that like button. And if you want more stories that tell the truth about this industry, subscribe to What's News, because someone needs to say it.